Hello, church. I think we need to talk. I say that not like a parent telling their kids they're in trouble or something like that, but I just think in our life together, and we don't get a chance to be together. A lot that has happened this week, even before and after we filmed worship for this Pentecost weekend. What I'm thinking especially of is on this past Memorial Day evening, Monday night, almost exactly 23-mile drive from where I sit here near our baptismal font in the sanctuary, is the location where George Floyd was brought into custody and was killed a few minutes later. And I don't claim to be any civil rights expert. I don't claim to know what the experience of it is to be a police officer. I definitely don't know what the experience is like to be a person of color or to be discriminated against. And that way, I don't have much credentials to offer you at all. But what I do think that I maybe can ask and offer is you and I be in church together and being willing to talk and engage in big, important stuff. I think about that I'm sitting here right next to the baptismal font, and when a child, an adult, whoever it is baptized, right, they're given that identity as a child of God. Part of what we share, and I'll pull these words right out of the hymnal, right, is we should they're called to care for others in the world God made and to work for justice and peace. If we're ever going to be church, now's the time to be church. I don't have answers, but I do have questions. What does it mean for us to seek out justice and peace right now? One of our favorite Bible verses, Micah 6:8. Oh, but what does the Lord require of you? But to do justice, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with our God. What does it look like for you and for me from this point forward to do justice? I stand right about there each week, and so often I remind us of our mission that we share in together and say that in our ministry, we want people to know and to experience and be shaped by the amazing love of God. And that's to affect how we live, that we're called to live as followers of Jesus. And then we go out into that world, and this is where the rubber meets the road. We're to go into that world where God is already at work, and we're called to join in, to bring about God's dream for that world that can be pretty messed up sometimes, like we saw on Monday night. And we're called, I say, to bring God's justice, love, mercy, and grace. I think a lot of us, I'm a lot more comfortable with those words, mercy, love, and grace. Maybe doesn't know much about justice. So what does it look like for us to bring justice right now? On Monday morning, I brought a message to you from Farmington Lutheran Church Cemetery on Memorial Day, and wanted to give thanks and remember all those men and women who had shed their blood for us, who gave that ultimate sacrifice that you and I can enjoy the liberties and freedoms that we do each day. Here's the reality, is we don't all live in the same world. My next door neighbors are people of color, right? We live right in the same area, right next door to each other, you name it, but in some ways we live in two different worlds. What does it mean for you and I to bring justice into that reality? I think of this. My parents never had to give me the talk. I thought the talk was the birds and the bees. For my friends of color, they talk about the talk meaning something so different. Let me back up. I remember my dad talking to me to stand up for myself, assert myself. Even if you get pulled over, if you're innocent, you let them know, hey, I wasn't speeding or do what have you. It's okay. You should do that. Our friends of color have a whole different experience. The talk is being told, especially as a young black man, hey, if you get pulled over, do not assert yourself. If you get pulled over, anticipate being treated very poorly. And you just need to, whatever comes your way, you just need to absorb it, because don't give that person a reason. Don't give them one hint of a reason, right, to ever come stronger on you than they already have. We live in two different worlds. You and I as church, how are we called to bring about a better day? Right? We talk about being Imago Dei, people all created in the image of God. We sing the song, all are welcome. How do we live that out so that indeed all folks experience that? Like I said, I'm not the expert. I'm a 47-year-old white guy. I'm the people that call committees want to call as their pastor. I fit what they're looking for somehow. Sorry about that. I don't know what it is to have the experiences of being a black man, a black woman in this country. This week I've been ticked off. I've been frustrated and wanting to see charges brought against those 4 officers. Maybe I'm sorry, this is going to be filled with more emotion. And as hard as that for me to wait, I think of our black brothers and sisters. They're not just waiting 4 days. They wait generation after generation after generation, and they hope that things are going to get better. They deal with things that I can't imagine. I remember hearing back in college, some classmates talking about driving back, happened to be driving from Milwaukee back to the U of M campus, and talking about getting pulled over and all the stuff they went through. I'm thinking, really? And of course, back then, nobody had a cell phone camera or something like that. But I remember hearing some stories and thinking, boy, that just can't be. Santana Dotson, who played for the Green Bay Packers, was a friend of George Floyd's, and he was asked the other night, does he think there's more racism now? He says, no, I just think more stuff shows up on camera. How are you and I called to be at work to bring justice in this day? I think about this, and I'm not an attorney, I don't know those things, but I think we sometimes need to ask some hard questions about the realities we experience. Yesterday, 3 days after George Floyd's death, Hennepin County Attorney Michael Freeman and the U.S. Attorney both spoke, and I'm sure my hope is they want to get their ducks in the row. They want to make sure that they convict. They want to make sure the prosecution all goes right, and so I think that's why they are taking that time. But I think, wow, folks don't have the same experience. Here we saw a video of over 8 minutes with an officer putting his knee onto the neck of George Floyd. People saying, stop, you don't get it. He's not responding. He can't breathe. And none of the officers seemed to be shook up about it. Kept proceeding forward until he comes to be unresponsive. Then he still keeps his knee on his neck. That's all on videotape. The attorneys have that. And I'm thinking, 3 days into this, they say, we don't know if we have enough evidence to convict. And I said, I think the good part is I think they're trying to say, we want to make sure that once we get in court that we really can convict this person or these people. My question is, if 4 black guys, one's standing guard, one has his knee on the neck, and 2 others are hoping to hold the person down who's in handcuffs, they do that to a white person? Are they going to spend the next 4 days in the comfort of their home eating meals? I don't think that's the way it is. One of my concerns as I share this message is part of what's happened this week as well. It's been so surreal, is not only protests, but also the rioting and the looting. And I appreciate the words this morning of our Commissioner of Public Safety. And he shared, I was out there with the protesters, and he says, let me tell you this, the people seeking justice, the people grieving for George Floyd, because that's not the same group of people who were the folks that we went out and chased away or even arrested, after midnight with fires blazing. Goes, that group of, arsonists is not the same group of people. We can't lump everybody in together, and I don't know the whole thing, but like I said, this week I've been ticked off, and so I can't say that I understand it or experienced it, but when people get mistreated and they get underserved, and they have to live in a very difficult reality where they grow up, and I respect our police officers, so many great ones, but just like clergy, when there's ones who are abusing or do something that's wrong, we got to have no time for them, making it clear that that's not acceptable, because if that's allowed to go on, then it totally screws up trust of anyone and everyone who's doing the right thing, right, in that calling. That's police officers, that's ministers, and trust me, I say that not trying to equate myself in a preposterous statement to the work of a police officer. But isn't it scary if you've got children growing up who that instead of running to the police officers for help, they want to run away? It means we need to do something different. I share this, that with the rioting and those things that's gone on, you can't lump everybody together. You can't lump all police officers together. There's, so many, this vast, huge majority, and beyond a majority, all these wonderful police officers. They need to be a part of a system that's better than it currently is. And I don't know how I say this, but I think within our system, the realities are so different, these two different worlds, that whether it's the system itself is not capable, or if the folks within the system are not willing. But the reality is that our black brothers and sisters have been denied justice throughout generations. They don't have the same experience as us who happen to have white skin. I want to share this, that as you hear or you see the rioting that has happened, please don't use that as an excuse to totally throw away the deeper issue. Justice is about getting at the deeper issue. The deeper issue is you and I are called to seek justice. You and I are called to be a part of the solution, to bring about a better existence for all people. So my hope is that long after those fires go out, that in you there burns a fire of passion to seek justice, right? For all people created in the image of God. I don't have all the answers, but I think there are, by any means. I think there's a couple things, though. One is maybe first we, within ourselves, acknowledge our own brokenness, acknowledge the limitations of our understandings, acknowledge for a lot of us, we didn't understand why Colin Kaepernick, why would he ever stand or take a knee for almost 2 minutes? Boy, how disrespectful is that? Maybe we see it differently after we watch the videotape of a white police officer on the neck of a black man for over 8 minutes. I think we're okay with people giving a silent protest to open us up, to awaken us to bigger issues that are going on that we don't know firsthand. We got to own our own stuff. We also, I think, need to take time in our conversations, especially as white folks, that we don't allow racist language, that we call each other out on the idea that, oh no, racism doesn't exist here anymore. Baloney, it's still there. I appreciate that quote that says, evil triumphs when good people remain silent. Evil triumphs when good people remain silent. You and I, if there's going to be a change, I think back to 1968, before I was born, and all the civil rights activities that happened and riots that happened, but after that, not so many things changed systematically and systemically, I should say, and it's still there. So how do we make sure that the story goes different from here? And maybe that means a change in some of our legislation. Maybe it means a change in some other things, but let's acknowledge that our challenges within ourselves. Let's go ahead and have those conversations. Let's put some good pressure, peaceful pressure, on our leaders to bring about a better day where we truly can say that we live in justice and peace. Thank you.